It's another grey, wet and pretty dismal weather day here in South Wales today. It's also bookshop day, so I thought that would be the perfect excuse to grab a hot drink and chat about reading. Welcome to Vlogtober Day 3. How are you all? I hope you're doing well. It's Saturday afternoon here. My hair is a complete mess, and instead of bothering to do anything about it, I've just stuck a hat on. So yeah, pretty random bit of information there for you to start the vlog off today. I'm going to be chatting about reading today. I put up a video last month about the books that I'd be reading in September, and a lot of you said that you liked the video, and I said I'd make it a monthly thing, so I thought I'd tie that in with Vlogtober today. So that's going to be the focus of our video today. But before I get chatting about that, it's time to do our community shout out for the day. And I'd like to give a big shout out to the lovely Martin, and Martin has the Knit365 YouTube channel. Martin is another lovely local knitter, so I have the pleasure of having met Martin in person. He lives just across the bay from me over in Cardiff, and he has a lovely channel where he pops up videos. I think he does monthly videos about what he's been working on, but he also does really nice project vlogs. So he takes little snippets throughout the course of him working on a specific project and then puts them all together in a little vlog style video. So Martin's channel will be linked below. For Vlogtober, he is putting up some extra videos, not on a daily basis, but I think the focus of his Vlogtober videos is going to be the progress that he makes on the new Stephen West mystery knit along. The first video is up over on Martin's channel. Yeah, I'd really love it if you clicked on the link below and went to check out Martin's channel. If you like what you see, then please subscribe to Martin's channel and show him a little bit of Yarn and Yarns community love. I also have a little bit of a follow-on from yesterday's question of the day. I'm not going to answer a question today, but it also kind of ties in nicely with our bookish theme. So Susan asked me about yarn dyeing and whether I'd ever done any yarn dyeing, and I answered that one yesterday. She commented on that video to ask whether I had any recommendations for books about yarn dyeing. I do have, I think, a book about natural dyeing in my craft library behind me, but I've never actually used it. I think I picked it up secondhand, and then, as I mentioned yesterday, natural dyeing is something that I'm interested in but just haven't had a chance to really explore it yet. So I couldn't speak as to whether I would recommend the book that I have or not. So I thought I'd put it out to the Yarn and Yarns community, and I'm hoping that maybe one or two of you out there have experimented with dyeing in the past, or maybe you are dyers, whether you could recommend any bookish resources that we could let Susan know about. So yeah, if you have any recommendations, then I'd really appreciate it if you could leave a comment below this video. Hey, so time to chat about the reading. So I thought I'd do a really quick, if I can, run through of the books that I read last month. They featured in my What I'm Reading in September video. And maybe just give a sentence or two about my feelings on those books, and then I'm going to chat about what I'm going to be reading in October. Before I get into that, because it is bookshop day today, I want to give a little shout out to my local bookshop here in Penarth. We have a brilliant independent bookshop called Griffin Books, and if you're not local and you don't have a local bookshop but want to support a small business, then Griffin Books have a brilliant website, so I'll put a link to that below. And as it's bookshop day, I popped in there this morning and decided to treat myself to a book or two. I ended up coming home with 3, not my intention, but the book that I went in to get, I was hoping they would have it in stock, is by Susanna Clark, and it is Piranesi or Piranesi. I'm not entirely sure how this is pronounced. Blurbed on the back by Madeline Miller, who wrote Circe, and if you watched my previous book video, you'll know how much that I enjoyed and loved Circe. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to having the opportunity to read this. It might not be for a while yet. I don't think I'm going to be able to squeeze it in this month, but it's kind of on my maybe list. This is a beautiful hardcover book. I just want to take the jacket off and show you how beautiful the naked cover is. It's got Piranesi written. It's beautiful illustrations inside. And as I was looking at this book earlier, the other thing that really kind of caught me, and I know it's a silly little thing, but like the barcode on the back is kind of nestled into one of these gorgeous foiled waves, and that just little detail just made me happy. I was surprised when Mel, the shop owner, said that they had some free tote bags to give away with Piranesi. So I also came away at no extra cost with this beautiful tote bag, and the quote says, "May your paths be safe, your floors unbroken, and may the house fill your eyes with beauty," which is a quote from the book. And the book also came with a really lovely bookmark too, completely foiled on the back with the same quote. I had copies of Natalie Haynes's new release, Pandora's Jar, Women in Greek Myths, and they had some signed copies, so I couldn't resist getting myself a copy of this book too. The third little treat that I picked up at my bookshop this morning is just inside the door they had some books packaged up so you couldn't see what they were, for £1 each, and then they had a little sort of summary of what the book was about. So I picked this one, which says comic drama, feminist and revenge. So they were the themes in the book, and inside my little package for £1 I got The Death of a She-Devil by Faye Weldon. On the back it says, in Faye Weldon's 1983 classic, The Life and Loves of a She-Devil, women fought men for power and won. But in 2017, the fight continues on a new front. So I'm just wondering, have you read this book? And do you think, if you have, do you think I need to read The Life and Loves of a She-Devil before I get stuck into this? Yeah, they were my little treats to myself for Bookshop Day from Griffin Books this morning. I'm going to try and do a really quick wrap up of the books that I read in September. I read loads in September. If you watched my what I'm going to read video, you might remember that I had a whole host of reservations that I'd placed from the library that all seemed to come through at once. So I really had to prioritise reading last month to get through them all. But I did manage to read 10 books last month. So I'm going to try not to make this video hugely long, and I'm going to kind of whip through the books that I read and give them a star rating out of 5 and maybe a sentence or two about each. So let's see how this goes. So first off, I read Mythos by Stephen Fry. This was an audio read for me, 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. It took me a little while to warm up to it, but I think that was more because I'd come off the back of a couple of mythological based books that I really did enjoy, and it took me just a little while to swap from the style of writing in those books to this one. But yeah, by the end I just really loved the sort of cheeky quirky characterizations that Stephen Fry did in his narration of the book for a lot of these characters in mythology that I know quite well. I did study classics at uni, which I think I mentioned before, so the myths of Greece and Rome are fairly familiar to me. Next up was Olive, a contemporary fiction, and I kind of felt drawn towards this because it was a story about a woman who had chosen not to have children. I thought I might find the main character relatable, but I found that I did not really relate to Olive's story at all, and the narrative a little bit repetitive. It was very much kind of tell me rather than show me, and while it was quite a nice easy read and fairly enjoyable, not one that I could see myself returning to. I read The Wolves of Willoughby Chase by Joan Atkin, a book lent to me by my lovely friend Miranda after I mentioned that I really love The Secret Garden. So this is kind of a classic children's story, and yeah, it was really, really charming, and I totally enjoyed reading this. Like classic children's fiction and you haven't read Wolves of Willoughby Chase, I can definitely recommend it. A 4-star read for me. I read War Girls by Tochi Onobuchi, and again another 4-star read for me. I picked this up, it was blurbed as a kind of Black Panther-like futuristic dystopian novel set in Nigeria with strong female characters, and it kind of lived up to all of those expectations. But the story followed 2 sisters who are separated, and the story followed the sort of 2 branches of their stories, and yeah, it was an enjoyable read. I felt that I got a little bit distracted at times, but I think that was mostly because I was kind of working at points while I was reading it, so the book didn't get my full attention, but I did enjoy it nonetheless. I read Rewild Yourself by Simon Barnes. I have mixed opinions about this one, and I ended up giving it a 3-star book. It was kind of about getting back in touch with nature, and I loved the first chapter. The first chapter was about just kind of like opening your eyes and starting to kind of teach yourself and recognise some of the common butterflies that we can see here in the UK. Things went a bit downhill for me on the second chapter, when it was basically like, get yourself a decent pair of waterproof trousers and go out in all weathers, which is absolutely fine. This might be like a bit of a personal thing just for me, but as a plus size person who has always enjoyed being outdoors, getting a pair of decent waterproof trousers is not easy. I have always loved hill walking and just being outside in general, and getting waterproof clothing from any outdoor shops in plus sizes is hard. It's hard. Obviously fat people don't enjoy the outdoors. I'm sure things are probably getting better now, because there's a seem to be starting to go towards a little bit more size inclusive stuff, but yeah, that chapter kind of put me off a little bit, and then I was thinking, oh, maybe that's just me, my personal experience. A lot of the other chapters also seem to start from a point of privilege, and while a lot of them were sort of brought back to nature or wildlife experiences that you could have in the UK, it just felt the book wasn't quite what I wanted, I guess. So, you know, one of the chapters started out with, you know, if you want to get back to nature, go visit a coral reef, or while I was in Africa, tracked a black rhino. And it's just like, those sorts of huge wildlife experiences are not accessible for most people. I enjoyed it. The author had quite a nice writing style, but the book wasn't quite what I wanted it to be. So it got 3 stars from me. Of Virtue and Vengeance by Tony Adeyemi, and this is the second in a trilogy. I believe it's going to be a trilogy. The first book was The Children of Blood and Bone, and I absolutely loved the first book. The first book just grabbed me, pulled me in, and I was totally invested in the characters. I did enjoy the second book, not as much as the first book. The first book was a 5-star for me. This was more like a 4-star. There were some questionable decisions from our main characters, although I guess they'd gone through quite a lot of experience which could change, you know, how they viewed the world and change their decisions. But I guess when you love a book and you're kind of invested in the characters, when they make kind of odd decisions that you don't think are them, it kind of just puts you off your stride a little bit. But again, that's more down to reader interpretation, and you know, this is Tony Adeyemi's story. She can take the characters wherever she likes, and I still thoroughly enjoyed this book. Didn't quite live up to my expectations. I thought this would be another 5-star read, and it wasn't quite that. I also read Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo, and I was really excited to read this. This is a book in verse, and I haven't really read any books in verse before. As you can see, I've got the physical copy, but I also listened to the audio copy via my library, and I loved this book. It's, again, a contemporary story about 2 half-sisters who do not know of each other's existence until their father dies in a plane crash. That's not a spoiler, it's kind of blurbed on the back. And one lives in America and one lives in the Dominican Republic, and it kind of follows both of their stories and kind of them finding out about each other. Just loved it. Nothing else to say about it, really. Becoming by Michelle Obama, Michelle Obama's memoir. I'd heard lots of great things about this book, and it didn't disappoint. Yeah, Michelle Obama fangirl, definitely. I also read Parachutes, and I really enjoyed this. It's a sort of young adult contemporary story about kind of rich Chinese children who are sent to school in America. 2 main characters. So one is the Chinese parachute. That's what the kind of nickname that's given to these children. The other main character is American born, although her mum is from the Philippines, and they are the host family to this parachute girl. And yeah, the story kind of follows both of these girls' experiences, mainly based around their school. and there are themes of sexual assault and rape in this book, so some hard-hitting issues tackled more towards the end of the book. So yeah, another 4-star book, Parachutes for sure. I'm in the middle of reading Silence of the Girls by Pat Barker, which is another mythology retelling, so I guess I'll chat about that in my wrap up at the beginning of next month. I also started Nevermore by Jessica Townsend, which is like a middle grade sort of fantasy magical story that was highly recommended to me by my lovely friend Sally. It's one of her favourite book series, and the 3rd book in that series comes out this month, so I started to read it when I had a gap between my library reservations, but I wasn't able to finish it. So I own that one on Audible, so I shall go back and try and fit that in this month, I think. As for what I am going to be reading this month, I've got a stack of books. So I've tried not to go quite so heavy on the library reservations. I am going to be finishing The Silence of the Girls, and then I have one more library reservation, which is The Vegetarian by Han Kang, and it's quite a short book. It's about 5 hours long, and it's set in Korea, I believe, about a married woman who decides to become vegetarian, which is something that's apparently not a kind of social norm when the book is set, and I feel like it might have a little bit more to the story than that, but yeah, I'm interested to read it. I think it was either nominated or won a fictional prize, so that's kind of why I borrowed it from the library. So yeah, I've got that ready and waiting as soon as I finish The Silence of the Girls. I'm also going to be tackling my first ever Agatha Christie, A Murder on the Orient Express. I picked this up at a local charity shop a few days ago. I've never read any Agatha Christie. This is quite a short book, but it's got really teeny tiny writing. So hopefully it won't take me too long, but I really love this cover. Did I already say that? I may have already said that. I'm obsessed with the cover. So yes, I thought October, maybe try and get in a few mysteries and sort of horrors and spooky thrillers. Not entirely, but a few of my books are that. I mentioned Natalie Haynes in my book haul from Griffin Books this morning, and I'm going to be reading 1,000 Ships. This book was kindly gifted to me by my lovely friend Jeanette. Hi Jeanette, if you're watching. I tried the audiobook a couple of months ago, and I just couldn't. It's narrated by the author, and I just could not tune into it. But again, it's another retelling of the Trojan War, and I just really want to read this, so I said that I would probably try the physical book at some point, and Jeanette very kindly sent this to me, so I am going to be reading 1,000 Ships this month. Last month I mentioned Pet Sematary, and I didn't get to it, so Pet Sematary is definitely on the list for this month. I have the audiobook as well as the physical book, so I'm quite enjoying doing a combination of audio and sort of actual physical reading, so I shall definitely be doing that with Pet Sematary. Stephen King has sort of quoted this as being like the book that he's written that he finds the most disturbing or something like that, so I'm kind of interested to tackle this. I've seen the film, but I've never actually read the book, or if I have, it was maybe back in my teen. I used to read a lot of Stephen King in my teenage years, but I don't particularly remember it, so I'm thinking I probably did not read this one. So yes, this is going to be an October read for me. I also have, I'm really excited about this one, Roseanne A. Brown, A Song of Wraiths and Ruin. Look at that gorgeous cover. I asked for this book for my birthday, so James very kindly purchased this for my birthday, and I'm really looking forward to getting stuck into this one. I believe, again, it's young adult, but don't quote me on that. Shall I just read the blurb for you? For Malik, the Solstacia Festival is a chance to escape his war-stricken home and start a new life with his sisters in the prosperous desert city of Ziran. But when a vengeful spirit abducts Malik's younger sister, Nadia, as payment to enter the city, Malik strikes a fatal deal: kill Karina, Crown Princess of Ziran, in exchange for Nadia's freedom. And then the blurb goes on. I think that the princess also needs to kill Malik for a reason, so they're both out to kind of try and kill each other, and then fun and games ensues, I guess. So yeah, Song of Wraith and Ruin by Roseanne A. Brown. I also have a graphic novel on my list this month, another sort of spooky horror entry, as well as Pet Sematary. This is 30 Days of Night, and I've got the omnibus edition, which is the first sort of 3 books. I think there are some other follow-up books in this series. It's a graphic novel by Steve Niles, and 30 Days of Night, the movie, is one of my favourite vampire movies. So yeah, I saw this online secondhand. I think it was about a £5. So I couldn't resist jumping in and getting that. So I shall be tackling that one. But the artwork in here is pretty gory and gruesome, as you might expect from a vampire story. So I might leave that one towards the end of the month. I think that will be a good kind of Halloween read. Then the last book that I'm hoping to tackle, I think I've picked out 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I've almost finished Silence of the Girls and The Vegetarian, which seems to be a short book. So 8 to finish altogether, which 10 last month, 8 this month, I think is doable, considering a couple of these are pretty short. So finally on my to read list this month is Terry Pratchett's The We Free Men. I have all of the Terry Pratchett Discworld books. James is a huge fan. I've not read them all. I've read quite a few. This is the young adult series featuring Tiffany Aiken. This is the first in that series, and I'm going to try and read one of these a month from here until I think it will take me through to the beginning of next year. But this book was also highly recommended to me by my lovely friend Jen when I asked for audiobook recommendations a couple of months ago. This was one of the books that Jen mentioned to me that she had read and thoroughly enjoyed. So I have loved all of the other Discworld novels that I've read, so I'm really looking forward to getting stuck into We Free Men. So yes, that's my reading plans for October. If you've made it this far in the video, I feel like it's going to be quite a long one. I've got another quick question to ask you as my little wrap up for this video. So I was thinking, obviously in the current situation with the pandemic, we're not able to travel very much. A book is a great way to travel to a new place. And I was wondering if any of you out there had any fiction or non-fiction recommendations for books set in the part of the world where you live that maybe you would like to recommend me. I do have a massive to be read pile at the moment, so it could be a while before I get to any recommendations, but yeah, I was just wondering if any of you have read any books set in your local area or your country, your part of the world, that you really enjoyed and that you think might help me do a bit of virtual travelling to wherever you live. Let me know what you're going to be reading in October. I think I better wrap up. I've been talking for a long time. Hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Until we get to spend time together again, I hope you get to do some of the things that you enjoy. Great big woolly hugs to you all. Bye for now.